Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new session. We are going to be talking today about the digital solutions that are solving big systemic problem. And in particular, we're going to look into digitizing the student job market and administration. I'm here today from the Impact Hub Belgrade. I'm Giulia Berti, and I will be hosting the co-founders and the speakers from Spajalica today. I'll just introduce myself a little. So I'm the program manager here at Impact Hub Belgrade. We are a business support organization. We're actually part of a bigger international network, and what we do is providing support for the acceleration of startups that are quickly going into international markets, so that have that potential. And specifically, we are focusing on those businesses that provide digital solutions and green solutions. We are also very much looking into the gender perspective of the teams we are working with. So we are always very happy to see gender diversity in the teams that are founding the businesses. And overall, we work in assessing continuously the startups in the Western Balkans. So I'm happy to connect with Spajalica today because obviously they also know very much the context in which we're operating in. And we do so by organizing quarterly demo days at the Impact Hub. We do so by assessing the startups. As I said, we're looking for those that are most likely and most eligible to reach the international markets, because with our Impact Hub network, we are facilitating all those connections that help startups to grow also in different markets. And also within our team, we try very much to provide those connections and those support from experts and coaches to learn the process. And we'll discuss today with Mark and Nicolina more the details of what this process is. So going from an idea to an MVP and then to the actual market and customer activation. So this is a brief intro on my side, and I'm sure we will be having the chance to also share more information. But now I would like to introduce the Spajalica team and Nicolina and Marco themselves. So please give us a short introduction on yourself and especially on what you've been developing and what is Spajalica all about.
Okay, thank you, Giulia. Maybe I can start. So actually, my name is Nicolina Topic. I'm coming from innovation consulting company. The name is Procotiv. And together with Marco, we have been on this journey for the last few years, if I can say so. And my specialty is helping also startup companies to develop their ideas, and on one side, and on the other side also I like to reorganize or redesign new services and new products. But also on the other hand, I have lots of experience in cross-industry innovations and connecting startups, integrating them in corporations. So I'm really eager that the Spajalica has seen like the light in this market of Croatia, especially in terms of digitalization of all the processes, which we will go in detail later on. And I also finished lots of different education in terms of human centricity for innovation, like human needs. I've been doing also some courses and modules in LSE, and I have MBA in controlling in Croatia. And maybe Marco can tell a bit more about himself, and then later on we will go for Spajalica.
Thank you, Giulia. Thank you, Nicolina. First of all, I'm very happy to be able to present at this great event. We are happy that we were invited, and we would like to, let's say, share our knowledge and experience based on what we did on digitalization of this complex process, So the most complex process that we did digitalize are actually student contracts. And this is a foundation of digitalization of the whole, let's say, country and the society in general, because one process that is helping a lot of students, a lot of companies, and that is connecting them, we have completely digitalized it. And this is something that we would like to speak about in this panel today. So my name is Marko. I'm co-founder of Spiralica, and I'm very happy to be able to present to you, and I hope you will like and find something that it's useful to you today.
Thank you so much, Marko and Nicolina. So you did, as you said, solve the complex systemic problem. Actually, at the Impact Hub, we had supported a similar, but not the same, of course, solution within the job market. And I'm talking about HireApp, which provides staffing as a service for the hospitality industry. So there, in that case, the problem was the context of the post-COVID world, where many of those hospitality staff that had permanent contracts were actually fired because obviously they didn't have the flexibility to stay in the job. And in the Corona time, of course, the restaurants and hospitality industry was pretty stuck. So HireApp moved from this problem and this context to provide a solution where more flexible contracts and more flexible settings between hospitality businesses, restaurants, and the staff could have been matched. So here they basically provide shifts, let's say. So restaurants are sharing their availability for shifts, and single worker can decide when and how they can go into jobs. And here specifically the focus is on high-end restaurants and hotellery. It obviously started from an issue of moving from the full employment into a more flexible setup that would guarantee the workers better. Actually, with the support of the Impact Hub, HireApp is now well established in the market in Florida, has attracted actually $1.5 million from syndicated venture capital, and also $500,000 from individual investors. So, I mean, on our side, the support is usually on advising the go-to-market strategy and try to make interest with investors, so at the latter stage. But I would like to understand from you, what was your starting point for the problem you tried to tackle? Because we are talking, this example is another digital solution for the job market. We can use this kind of umbrella definition, but for your side, the problem statement and the starting point, the context have been completely different. So I would like to hear more about that. And also maybe Marko, you can also discuss more on this specific contractual innovation that you came up with.
Thank you, Julia. We started with a problem, obviously, and thank you for pointing that out. Our problem was also during the COVID, during the first lockdown, and I will just explain in short student contract in general in Croatia. So all the students can work through an institution that is called Student Center, and Student Center is issuing the contracts. And the thing is that each student has to issue a contract each month. So this contract has to be renewed each month. You cannot take contracts from today, from 18th of October until the end of the year. So you have to finish the contract for a month, then you have to issue another one for next month. And each of these contracts has to be signed personally by the student, by the company. And only after the job is done, so let's imagine that today is the end of the month, you as a student take your contract to the company. They have to fill in all the information, how many hours did you work, what was the salary per hour and everything. And then you have to either send this contract through post, or you have to take it to Student Center personally. Then Student Center is issuing an invoice to the company. The company is then paying to the Student Center, and the Student Center is then transferring the money to the student. And this whole process in physical way is quite complicated. And the biggest problem is that students, after they finish working, have to wait for their money, their hard-earned money. And we all know how important money is when we are students. You know, it's much more important than when we are adults, because we are quite limited with money when we are students. So this is the process that we have very, very reduced, in a way that students and companies both can, through the app, sign contracts that are completely digitalized, like electronic contracts. They are automatically sent to Student Center, and the invoice is automatically issued after the final signature. And with this process, we have reduced the payment from company to students in average from 10 to 12 days. So this is the process that we did. This is the problem that we've solved. And this is why students and companies are using our app. And based on that, we are developing student job market, because then we have authentic job experience of each student. We have verifications, we have reviews, and we are enabling companies to find students. So after the company has issued a post job on Spajalica, all the students, based on our machine learning algorithm, all the students who are matching this job are getting push notifications, and they are automatically recommended to the company. So in this way, I think we are transforming the whole market in Croatia.
Thank you so much, Marko. Yes, it's very interesting also how you pointed out that from one specific solution to a very tangible problem, then you're influencing the broader system and you know, the broader employment also dynamics between students and the job market. I'm looking at Nicolina, whether she wants to add something.
For sure. Marko really did it in detail, but I would just like to add, maybe from the company side of a business, that we are really happy that they have recognized the Spajalica in their process of onboarding students, why they did it and why actually we have their support. For them is really, the Spajalica is like one of the only maybe now services on Croatian market where you can really integrate digital signature, except from e-Građani, that is on country level. And also what they are gaining is optimization of their internal processes. It's really, Marko can tell, like in days and even in minutes, how faster they can be and how faster these few phases can be closed. And on the third side, it's really the payment that the student gets. It's much faster now than it was before. So I really think that from the side of detailed analysis of the problem, where we have put the key needs that we want really to accomplish, and where we have mapped all of the gain and pain points of the customers. In these terms, it's the customer on one side, student, and on the other side, it's the company. So I really think that with Spajalica, we did a great solution, the whole team, really to create revolutionary digital solution. And also with this, we really think that this is the beginning of digitalization of Croatian society at all, because what you have at university level, then we can expand it more later on when the student really becomes employee in the company.
Thank you so much. Actually, when you were both speaking, you mentioned different components of this whole process. So from the team to you know, the break down into smaller processes and dynamics, the piloting, the mapping. So I think right now we would like to also engage the public a little. You are gonna get one question popping up on your screen, and we would like to ask you, what do you think that the main and most important component in all of this is? And please send your answers. We will discuss more in the next half an hour. Also, moving from the problem statement, towards how the actual solution was developed. And I would like also to add that the audience can right now also type in questions in case you have anything popping up in your mind. We'll be happy to address it in the conversation. So we'll wait until we get these results. Please check your screen to answer the survey question. And as I said, I would like now to start moving from the problem towards the actual solution. So here, of course, we're focusing on the digitalization per se as a topic of the whole conference, but also specifically of this panel. How what's the role that digitalization per se plays into the problem-solving phase, and how much is easy to identify digitalization as the answer, and also how much do you think it should be engaged in every single component of the process, or if it's just something that solves some of the issues? So overall, I'm trying to hear your opinion and perspective on the actual digitalization issue and how much that's relevant or sometimes problematic when solving big systemic problems.
If I can answer that question. I understand that we all as users have so many apps on our mobile phones. We are spending a lot of time in front of a computer. So a lot of things are becoming digitalized, but also they are choking us in some way. And you have apps like, let's say, social media, social networks and similar, that are trying to engage us as much as possible on our apps, on our phones and everything. So we have a lot of screen time and we are becoming addictive. And there are different types of digitalization. What we have tried with this type of digitalization is actually solve two problems. One problem is a problem for students. So we don't want our users to spend a lot of time on their app, on Spiralica. We just want to help you. So for example, Julia, if you have, let's say, 5 students now that are working for Impact Hub, you can in 1 minute click five contracts, you can sign them, and the students will have all the necessary bureaucratic foundations to receive the money in, let's say, 12 hours or the next day. So this is what we have tried. So we have tried in a smart way, like Nicolina said, design the process and solve it as quickly as possible. So we didn't go too much in the broad scale, too broad. And what you have also mentioned about digital job market. So digital job market is something that we will build on this solving of their problem. So if we have solved the problem for students and for the companies, they will use Spiralica also for the job market. And this is it. We didn't go too much in developing a broad solution. We have solved a problem in a digital way.
Thank you, Marco. Nicolina, I don't know if you want to...
Maybe I can add just like what you pointed out as a question, what have been like the relevance for digitalization, why we decided to go this way. If I can say, if Marco agrees that this was really the only way to go for, as the corona had started and there were no similar applications and digital platforms that can really fulfill the need. And the students really have been like provoking how come that we don't have it yet and everything. And when we had like the first meetings with the companies, they're really like, come on, this platform does not already exist? How not? And they were really like have been, wow, we have been waiting and dreaming for this for years. Finally, that it has come to the light. So like everyone has been enlightened with, and really to make it digital was the only way. And what Marco also have pointed out, that in this pilots process, we have digitalized each step. So actually from the step of digital, the CV that is digital, to the step of really giving like marks each to another, to the step of recommendation, to the digital contracts, to the receipt that the company has, and so on. And what's interesting also, because of technical part that the Spaza has inside, is that it can be really integrated with most of other systems that companies have inside. For example, for the account managers or for the finance director and so on, they know what we are talking about. So really there is nothing that can block implementation of this plan.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think you made a great point in talking about integration, in the sense that, you know, as Impact Hub, of course, we see a lot of startup ideas and new solutions coming up. And sometimes people are so focused in developing something new that are looking at a standalone solution. But then when we talk about system problems and systemic change, then of course the integration part is something very important, because you're not operating and providing something that it's standing by itself and doesn't have any connection with, in this case, the job market, but you really need to look into what other actors are there, what other processes are existing. So these connections are very key in the success of digital startups, especially, as you said, nowadays with processes that are digitalized from start to end. So every single phase is a process by itself and needs to be connected with the actors that are part of that specific phase. I'm just looking at the chat because we received a bit of answers for the survey questions. So about 1/3 of the audience is thinking that process mapping is the most important phase in the digitalization part of this system. And then half of the people are thinking that testing smaller processes is the most important component. We'll see what you think about it. I think right now I would like to understand how all of these components came to create your solution. What was, you know, your way of doing? So from the idea to the solution that you've developed. We have here different parts, like from mapping, testing, piloting, like how much these are separate phases and how much are actually part of a whole ideation process and MVP developing process. So please let us understand better how you went through this phase.
Thank you to everyone who have answered to this question. I would say that this was a bit trick question because they are all important, obviously. It depends on the phases, obviously. How did we start? And there is probably no right or wrong way. But for us, the idea was actually to create the best process for the users. And we had two sets of users, students and companies. And we were developing process that it's 100% great for them and that it's solving their problem. So process mapping was very important, but we also tried to prototype as soon as possible. And we have created an app, primarily a mobile app, because we were trying to understand our students, and nobody wants to, you know, you want to sign the contract while you're in a tram, while you're walking somewhere or something like that. So it's very important to be able to sign a contract on on your phone. And companies, on the other hand, the people who are actually working and signing contracts, they are mostly using their PCs. So for them, we were focusing mainly on web app. So these were the two sides that we were approaching. So for students, mainly mobile app. For companies, mainly web app. And we have a little bit just tweaked a mobile app for students and created the same user interface for companies. So they can also use it on mobile app, but they're mainly using it on the web app. And the team, obviously, it's the most important thing, because if you have a good team, then you can create anything. We have tried to enter the market as soon as possible. We have tried to create a solution that it's working, and this is what we did. And then when you have users, I think this is the most important thing, to talk with your users and to see how they're experiencing the app. 2 weeks ago, we did a complete, after 1 year of using the app, we did a complete rewrite of the whole app. The first version had around 102,000 lines of code. The new one has 4 times as less, 30,000 lines of code, but it's working much better and more efficient. So after you start, you also have to work on improving your product. And for me, this is the most important thing. And we are also currently working on writing a new code, because it has to be more efficient. And the other thing that I would also like to mention, I don't want to talk too much about this, it's architecture of the database, of the front end and of the back end. This is very important thing. If you have experience, this is something that can be very optimized in a way how things are working between the users.
Yeah, and also I would just like to add shortly that from the side of customer, really the experience of the customer, it was of the best value that can be, because it's really easy to use. And we have desire, like each member of the team really have desire to improve constantly. Why? Because we are really considering each feedback from stakeholders, and we like see what are the benefits, what are the pros and cons, to see do all of the participants that will use the app have benefits, and if they have it, we really include it in the process of development and redesigning the services.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think this was a very important point that you touched upon, the fact that, first of all, you had 2 different types of users. So technically it's one solution, but actually you need to customize it somehow for the different parts that you're trying to bridge. And at the same time, also, I think it's important to highlight the fact that coming to an actual solution that it's also maybe already on the market doesn't necessarily mean that this process doesn't get updated or changed. So this whole monitoring of the, of your users' needs and your users' feedback is not static. So it's not something that just happened from the ideation to the actual MVP to the go-to-market, but it should be at least a constant process of measuring, of understanding, and also I think when it works specifically for the digital market, the constant update of what the solution is providing, because obviously the market itself, when it's related to digitalization, is changing very fast. So it's also a matter of like keeping up with all the needs and new processes that are coming in. So I see there were obviously a huge number of challenges that you successfully addressed, but obviously I would like to understand maybe in this like happy ending story, what were the pain points and the challenges, the hardest times that you've been through in developing your solution, and actually what was helping at that point?
The hardest thing, it's this. What still is the hardest thing are people who are not willing to change, especially the companies. So they don't want to change their processes. They don't really care about students, about their payouts. We have a lot of old mindset that it's against everything that is digitalized because they feel threatened. And we don't consider it that way because obviously there are people who are inefficient doing their jobs in a physical way. And this is something that has to be speed up because in the end, students are the backbone of our society. And this is also something that was and still is motivating us to continue even through the hardest, let's say, times, because we know we are doing something that it's great for society, great for students. We are helping students, and we are helping build foundations for better digitalization of our society. And for us, this is the main motivation. This is why we are doing the app, and this is because we know who we are helping with. And I think that you cannot be more motivated after you hear, let's say, anything positive from your users. When they say thank you, this is helping us so much. This is reward for all the hardship that you went through and everything bad that happened. You forget that after you get a great feedback from your users. So for me, this is the most important thing.
Well, sure, that's the proof that your solution is actually helping, and it's the best also reward for you. I see this as a more like systemic challenge, in the sense that when you want to bring in change, especially digital change, you will face obviously some barriers, especially from people themselves not willing to change. But I also wanted to get more into the technicalities of how this process happened, and when you were literally physically developing your solution, where you needed to decide when to go to market and who were your target customers. So in the actual more technical startup process, did you have other difficulties? So one stage lower than the systemic change in your startup creation.
Yes, in terms of developing a solution, we really have, so most of the people who were working on the app are very motivated and very skillful. And these are all young people, but they had this motivation because they were also aware of what we are doing. And this was also great motivation for all of us because we know we are often dedicated in a way that we work 3 or 4 or 5 nights in a row just so we can create a better solution. And it's a lot of dedication, it's a lot of sacrifice, but this motivation is coming from the point that we are all aware that we are creating something great. And I would just like to say thanks to the whole team who is developing this. And this is, for us, this is a big reward even to be part of this panel and to talk about this. In terms of technical points and pain points, we had some problems. I see that we have to finish, but they were not as big as let's say, society problems and bureaucratic problems that we are facing.
That's also, yes, a big point to highlight. Again, it's a systemic issue because obviously bureaucracy comes from the state, from the administration side. So not something that can be solved right away, but I see. So the systemic part is still the most challenging for you. I'm not sure if Nicolina, you agree, or you
Yeah,
want...
definitely I agree. Just for conclusion, I would like to add that really this process and in any kind of coming up with innovation and new service that does not exist yet on the market and where you do not have existing competitors, as Palica yet don't have existing competitors in that field. Really, the team is very important, and if you have motivation to do something, then you will find a way to do it. And if you have like a good will, then you will be able to match even those one who don't want success for the whole country.
Yeah, competitors always sound like a, you know, a negative word, but actually when we do see that when supporting startups, like knowing the competitors is actually part of the learning process. So although of course people are perceiving it negatively in the market, but at the same time it can be a huge learning opportunity for those teams that are trying to see how others develop the solution and how things are happening maybe also in other countries. It's something we try very much to do at the Impact Hub, to match teams that are providing similar solutions to kind of learn from each other, although they are possibly competitors, as you said. So I would just like to close this conversation. I'm mindful of the time. I would like to also announce that both the Impact Hub and Spajalica are in the exhibition and showroom section of the expo, so you can connect with us, come ask questions, and learn more about what our teams are doing in this specific sector. And Marco, Nicolina, if you would like to have any final remarks, please go ahead.
I just did mine, so maybe Marco has something to add for the end.
I would just like to say thank you to all of you, to Julia, to Nicolina, to all the organizers and the audience. And like you've mentioned, we are in the showroom, so if you have any other questions, please feel free to join us.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Bye.